Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the
Lume Plotters.
Today with a special guest.
Hello, guys. My name is Hussein.
Ooh,
Yes,
we have three today.
Finally, we have three. I mean, it's been a while since we had a special guest on. So,
Am I the first one, or
you're the second one.
Ah, right.
Not
Okay,
counting
that's good to know.
Khaled from Timepiece 360. That was a different setup. We actually interviewed him in the Timepiece 360 boutique. So,
okay.
But you're the second one to grace us with their presence at the actual studio.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Well, we appreciate having you and taking the time. Now, So let's start off with what is everyone wearing?
All right, okay.
So why don't we start with Hussein? Tell
Of
us
course,
about
the
what
guest
you're
of honor.
wearing.
All right. So today I'm wearing an IWC Spitfire chronograph. This is the 2019 released edition, 41 millimeters, with the new in-house movement.
I can't tell, is it blue or black?
It's actually black.
Black,
It's
okay.
very vintage inspired, so it's quite a matte finish on the dial.
Now, I'm seeing something reflecting off of it and it looks blue in the crystal. That's why I don't know if it's the screen over here or what's going on.
It's,
but it
it's
looks-
probably because of the anti-reflective coating.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
it's the screen that I see it in and it looks a little bit blue. But yeah, it's black.
By any chance, do you match your t-shirt to your straps?
This was actually a coincidental. Yeah, because the strap actually matches. It's got the
And it's the same material as well.
almost the same material. Yeah,
It looks
It's
really,
like
really well matched.
It's what, a
So-
green cloth strap
yeah, green cloth
and
strap.
a green
Yeah,
cloth shirt.
exactly. Yeah.
But this is not your first one of these watches, right?
No, actually, I've actually gone through quite a few of them. This is actually the fourth IWC chronograph that I've had.
And then they're
in
the same
last
ones,
2 years. Well, from the same collection, yeah.
Right.
I mean, and probably touch on it a bit later during the podcast,
Yeah.
but I think you have to try something more than once to
Sometimes.
figure out exactly if it's the one.
Well, you're talking to the
Yeah.
converted here. I mean, Martin buys his watches multiple times
Yeah, I've done the same
within the
quite
same
a few
year.
times. Yeah.
Well, it was the same exact model, too. You're at least switching colors. Your last one was blue.
The last one was blue, yeah.
Yeah, so this one you switched something on. And Ralph, what about you?
I'm wearing my Vacheron Constantin 56 with the silver dial. I have put it back on the.
The original
Bracelet.
bracelet. And somehow I think it looks great on the bracelet.
It's a lot of silver
It is.
bracelet, silver steel.
But it looks cool.
Silver dial and stuff. But yeah, I like it.
I like it, too. In case you don't like it, I'll take it off your hands.
Sure,
It's fine, yeah.
sure.
It's no date,
if you have
right?
a swatch or something to
Yeah.
swap, we can do that.
Exactly. I
It
think
looks
it's
a bit
fair.
like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's I think I have a nice G-Shock I can give you.
See,
It's
that's the thing. If I want to travel to other places, I can just wear my Vacheron Constantin. Everybody will think it's a swatch irony or something.
It does.
Right? It does look a tiny bit like it.
Yeah,
from a
it's
distance.
quite an understated dress
Yeah.
watch. And you remember I used to have, I had the blue version of that actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, but not leastly, I'm wearing my GLC Reverso, the medium size, which has since been discontinued since I purchased it last October. And in addition to me purchasing it last October, I want to go into the story of I went into the boutique and had no idea about the new prices. And
45%.
what in the hell happened there? So I bought mine. I'll just, quickly, timeline of stories or of prices. Sorry. I bought mine October 2022 and they had just had a price hike. So they were around 26,000 dirhams for the longest time. This is the monophase medium size. Then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. It literally one day to the next jumped to 28. And the funny thing was I'd called the boutique and said, I want this watch. Can you hold it for me? They said, sure. Price was 26K, 26,500. And then the next day, overnight, they had the price increase. So by the time I got there the following morning, it had gone up to 28,800. And I was pissed. I told them, no, like I reserved it at the previous price. You can't just do this. Well, they can, of course. So they ended up giving me an extra strap for free, which, okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. But the point of the story is I was upset by the price increase. Well, I just went back and the same watch now is 40,500.
Yeah.
Which is insane. From
Yeah, that's-
25K to 40,000.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a number, Hussein, about
44%.
within
about a year.
About a year. Yeah.
That's
But this is a singular jump. It's not like they did 5,000
No, I think
or
they did-
5% over and over and over again.
They did increase the.
It was
I think,
a couple of, I think two or three
Yes.
increases, but in total it was 40%
Yeah. But
in
see,
1 year, which
the-
is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like the tribute version, right? Which they announced, and before it actually came to market, they announced it for a specific price, and before it actually hit the boutiques to buy it, they increased the price.
But
It's
once again, now
really weird.
they've discontinued all of the medium sizes. So for anyone that knows, they had the tributes in a special, unique size, right? The tributes were in this, 45 size or 44 point something. The mediums were 43, and then the large was 46 almost. And basically, now they're no longer doing anything less than 46, less than the large size. All the tributes, the new ones, have been made in the large size.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can, for the same price, by the way, there's no price discrepancy. You can get the tribute or the regular, the classic, the one I have, with the Arabic numerals. And they're all the same price now.
Yeah.
So
Has anybody checked the pre-owned market? Has it had any effect
Chrono.
on that?
On Chrono, it's gone up. Yeah. So when I purchased mine, I was about 12% down at what I paid. Once again, we're not using Chrono as a barometric reading of actual watch prices, but if there's we know it's biased towards the high end, right? The prices are generally 20% or so higher than what you would sell the watch for.
Right.
But on this, mine went up about 20%. So from minus 12 to about plus 8, I'm at right now, plus 5, plus 8. So almost 20% jump.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
but again, it's interesting that you mentioned Chrono, because I find when brands have all these really high and fast price increases, it doesn't cut across the board with all the markets. So you'll find, for example, certain markets haven't really caught up with the price. I've seen that a lot with IWC, because they've done the same thing with their price
Richemont.
increase. Yeah,
Hashtag
Richemont.
Richemont Coupe.
Exactly. Yeah, that's they've had a lot of price increases
Cartier as well.
over a
also
very short
Richemont.
period of time,
Yeah.
and you're finding yourself in a situation where certain secondary markets have caught up with the new pricing and others haven't. So the prices are all over the place,
Yep.
depending on who you ask.
And this means you can often find a very good deal.
So you can do some arbitrage,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Just buy it cheap here and then sell it in a different market.
But it'd be interesting to see what happens with JLC. I mean, in the long term, I don't know if this new price is, I'm sure they're here to stick, but I don't know if it's sustainable in the way that they've done it.
But-
what does it do to the brand?
But here's the thing is if we go back in time, let's go back 25, 30 years. The Reverso was always the same price as the Submariner.
Hussein wasn't even born 30 years ago.
Well, no, I think I was.
I think
I'm
he was
joking, I'm
too, but
joking. Looks very young.
but anyway, yeah. So back in the reason I'm mentioning this is because there's an interview with Max Busser, who used to work at JLC, and he specifically mentioned that nobody was buying Reversos because they were the same price as a sub, and anybody can go into a Rolex at the time and buy a Submariner, right? And they were complaining, why would we buy this? It doesn't have hacking seconds. It doesn't have it's not waterproof. It offers basically nothing in comparison to Rolex. But he did mention that it was the same price as a Submariner, which if we looked at when I bought mine, Submariners were already at 40K. So all they did was catch up to where Rolex is. And if they're comparing themselves to Rolex, then technically this is the price that is fair and where it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think from what they offer from a horological perspective, it might be a fair price. But from the
way they did
let's
it,
say pecking order in the luxury brands, I think especially the entry level models, it's a bit of a stretch. I mean, like the Master Control, for example, the entry level models that they have, they went up from what?
You can get them for around 20 is what 20, 25 is
Pre-owned.
where they used to be. No,
28
new.
now. New.
Now it's 28 new. Before it was like 24,
That's what
23,
I think for the
something around
Master
there.
Control date. I think
it's above 30 now.
I don't know.
It's still the cheapest watch they sell is a Master Control date, but I think it's 30.
Yeah, so that's
If not
a
30
big,
plus.
That's a big change, right? And I think there you still have, I think, and you have the new movement, which has the same number as the old movement, which is always confusing.
Yeah.
It's 899. But now it has 70 hours power reserve. I think it's silicone.
Would you like to know how
process.
much it is?
Yes, please.
Are you
Master
sure?
control date.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I like that watch.
36,500.
Whoa, that's expensive.
I remember it being
Wow.
25.
Yeah, me too. I mean, in the boutiques, they never gave really officially discounts. They gave you an extra strap that was
They
usually
used
there.
to do discounts.
there
I
with
got my
things.
first Reverso 7% discount.
Yeah, but all Richemont groups in their brand boutiques have stopped giving
Yes, and this
discounts.
was back when it was Rivoli.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, and this is just my opinion on the matter. When it comes to luxury, I don't think the word luxury and discount should be in the same sentence. You
Oh,
know?
I still
So-
like it.
Yeah, I know. I like it too. I mean, I want to walk into a boutique and say, yeah, 20% off. Thanks, I'll have it. But it doesn't do much for the brand, you know.
And
Because
this
I
is
think
funny,
it
yeah.
screams luxury if you're saying, like I saw recently in one of our Balmain shops. These are not the real Balmain shops. It's a Balmain shop, but it's some kind of a Chinese
Pierre
licensing
Cardin.
for that.
It's
Yeah,
the
Pierre
same,
Cardin.
exactly.
And it was buy one get 5.
yeah,
And I thought, like, what the hell is that?
So, no, but I do remember the first time I would say I was introduced to the word luxury and this idea of no discounts or no sales for any matter was Louis Vuitton. And when you find out, like, there are no outlets, there are no sales, there are, these people would rather burn extra stock than to, discount them. That is this
that's what
idea
they-
of no discount luxury.
What they do with excess inventory, it's just like buying it back and then recycling it.
Yep.
It's now the more politically correct way of burning things.
and more sustainable.
More sustainable, no carbon emissions, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that was a big controversy. I think it was it Cartier or was it Chanel? I don't know who.
Cartier
Cartier-
ran over
Cartier
their
did it, yeah,
watches
they did
with
some-
the
somebody.
bulldozer, right?
Yeah.
I think it was the fake ones, I think. They didn't bulldoze the real
The real,
ones.
I just
I
remember
think that
seeing
was the
Cartier
fake
and a
ones.
bulldozer.
But I think in
They did buy back a lot of stock.
one of the
which was
brands.
supposed to be destroyed, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Because they said it makes, from a luxury perspective, makes sense. Also for the existing owners, because that's how the gray market started to
Yeah,
come
exactly.
up, right? Because the brands sold to their authorized dealers. The authorized dealers were sitting on excess inventory that they couldn't sell, and then there was a gray dealer who came and was like, "Hey, I'm buying your entire stock for 40% off or something, or 30% off. And then I resell it for 25% off. And I make a bit of a buck. You have your inventory, you have your cash flow back, and everybody's happy. That's why.
But you see, that's, again, it comes down to the strategy that the Swiss brands were using at the time, which was just push as much inventory as you can onto authorized dealers.
Correct.
You know, so whether they wanted it or not, they just had to keep buying it. Otherwise, they lose their distribution.
And that's what I think in one of the Dubai Watch Week sessions, I think it was George Kern who said this, that they never actually looked at sell through. They just looked at sell. The opposite of sell through is, maybe that's when the end consumer actually purchased the watch. They just sold it to the authorized dealers, and then their job was done.
Yeah.
So that's what the brands didn't actually look at of how many.
Who's buying it?
Yeah, how many watches are actually ending up at end consumers' hands from the authorized dealers. Yeah, and then you're absolutely right, Hussein. I think luxury and discounting is just not. That doesn't really work together. But we in the watch world were a bit used to that, right?
No, but the thing is, I remember when I walked into an AD in the US or Europe, you ask for a discount, they're going to laugh you out of the store. There are no discounts. It depends on, I mean, if we're talking about the big box stores, Rolex, etc., right? So it doesn't exist. So I remember going back all the way to, I think it was like 2015.
I find the boxes of Rolex rather small compared to Omega. If you say a big box store, then you should say Omega.
Yes.
Sorry,
Omega
I
is
just-
the
I
big
just
box
heard
store.
that.
Yes, correct. I mean, these are mega boxes. I still have my Speedy box. We'll talk about Speedy boxes in a little bit because Hussein has got one, a very special one. But anyway, all right. Point of my story is I remember 2015-ish, Hulk sitting in the window, and I coming from, here, always asking for discounts, and Rivoli pushing 30% plus.
In fact, Rivoli just went the opposite way around. I don't know if some of the listeners know about, the distribution in Dubai and all that. But like you said, was it 5 years ago, 4 years, 2017, 2018, when they would give you, there's like a buy one, get one free on Omegas and stuff like that.
Yep.
That was absolutely crazy.
It
Half
was,
off.
wasn't
I
it?
mean,
Halfback,
halfback. Yeah, exactly. I loved it. I mean, I'm not complaining,
Yeah, of
but
course.
we got used to that kind of stuff.
And that's the problem, is that's when I got into watches, getting used to this, where all Rolexes were available and everything was available for that matter. And then you got massive discounts. 15% at Rolex dealers was not uncommon here.
No, that's
and then you
true.
go to US and they say no.
I bought some really nice watches, Blancpain, some others for massive discounts. On my Omegas as well. Yeah, at that time, that was either the 35% off or the 50% back
off,
or something. Yeah, you needed to buy 2 watches, and then you would
get one at half price or something.
Yeah, something like that. I once had this. I think very rarely. It doesn't happen again anymore. But there was this one for the watch house. They had Grand Seiko. They had 100%. You get 100% back in credit.
Wow.
When you buy a watch, and then you had to spend it. You could spend it like 1 week or 2 weeks later. So that's
this
basically
is
also
on the
50%.
Blue Rewards, right? So I got some massive deal on this as well. When I bought my last Grand Seiko, they have these because it's Majid Al Futtaim, I believe it is. So we got they have this Blue Rewards point thing, and they gave me some massive amount back. I think it was like 10% or something, right? In these Blue Rewards points. And then you can go to any Majid Al Futtaim outlet, including Carrefour or any of these, and pay with those points.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up, with like 1,500 dirhams in points just for free.
Yeah.
So not only did I get a discount on the watch, I got the points as well. And that was a pretty good deal.
Mm.
But one thing that I want to mention, speaking of you mentioned this, Hussein, about the Rivoli and the way they're going. Now, of course, they're going towards no discounts.
Yeah. In fact, they've gone the opposite way around. So now it's like no discounts at all, and they're limiting stock.
But what has changed since then is basically Swatch bought the majority stake in Rivoli.
Rivoli they have the majority share of Rivoli for years.
For years. So then what has changed that made them want to start doing this? So you don't think it was
somebody in Switzerland woke up?
Yeah, maybe. I did hear that there's some Swatch Group executives that are watching Rivoli very closely.
Well, but you see, again, it's one thing to give discounts, and then it's one thing now to limit stocks completely. Something like a Snoopy, it's not a limited edition watch. It's something that should be available within a reasonable time frame. But the kind of games that they're playing now is, unless you're going to spend 100,000 dirhams, they won't even let you, get on the list for the watch.
I know a friend of mine who went to buy a Snoopy after half a year after it was launched and said, hey, I want to be on the list. And they said, well, at the moment we are serving profiles 4 million dirhams and up.
Yeah.
So if you have a spending profile of about 4 million dirhams, about 1 million
That's $1 million
US dollars,
at least, yeah.
Then you would be on the list to get one. If you have less spent with Rivoli than that, yeah. And which is a bit hard with Rivoli to have 1 million spent.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And even with the new Omega releases,
I still haven't seen one of the 60th anniversary Bond watches.
Yeah,
and they tell me they don't have any.
I was actually in Istanbul airport 3 days ago. It was available at the duty free for purchase.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So why did you buy it?
Nah, I didn't. My wife wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
but it's interesting. And that's, that's you go to a lot of boutiques elsewhere in the world. Within a reasonable time frame, you should be able to get some of these watches. They're not that difficult to get. But here, it's the stock has artificially been limited extremely by this.
Our situation is very special. You are right. It's because also we have a central wait list. It's not that you have your little authorized dealer
AD.
who is separate from the other authorized dealer in the same city, and you have 3 or 4 of the different authorized dealers, and they're all independent of each other. We have one distributor who runs all the retail shops here.
Yep.
So that means if there is a list, then it's one list for the entire emirate, the entire country, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes
really
countries,
country.
sometimes emirate, and depending if you were talking, so by Siddiqui buying, who was the one, the retailer for Tag Heuer in Abu Dhabi? Nobody. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, so basically that's...
Was it a Ferris Bueller reference? Anybody?
It was a Ferris Bueller. Yes, it was. So Almanara. It was Almanara. Sorry. I brain fart. Almanara was once again selling a lot of the brands that Siddiqui was selling in Dubai, but they were selling it in Abu Dhabi. And what did Siddiqui do? They bought him a controlling stake in it. So now they're essentially, even though through different names, controlling all of the sales of these certain brands. So it was Bulgari, Tag Heuer, Oris, and a few others.
And the other thing is that we have a lot of competition, right?
True.
I mean, we as this watch enthusiasts, we have lots of tourists. We have lots of people who regularly visit Dubai for work.
I mean, there's a reason there's a Chinese salesperson in every authorized dealer, right? It's not happenstance.
Chinese speaking.
That's the number of Chinese tourists we're getting is because they're coming, they're buying.
Yeah,
everything.
and the price level here is still much cheaper than in China.
Yeah, true.
Or Russia for that. So that's why we always had a lot of Chinese and Russian tourists here buying for the prices that were a bit higher than in the rest of the world for some time.
Yep.
So, Hussein, coming back.
Yes.
Is IWC your favorite brand?
Actually, I have to say it's Rolex.
Ah.
Yeah. IWC is a second, it's a close second.
Okay.
Yeah. I won't lie, it's definitely Rolex.
Have you put your name down for the new engineer?
No, I didn't.
What do you think about it?
I had the chance to put my name down, but yeah, I chose not to. I think it's an okay watch. I've had a look at it. I've had my chance to interact with the watch. Yeah, I don't think it's worth the price.
Yeah, that's exactly what we
honest.
thought, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
lovely watch.
They're very late to the party, trying to get on this Gerald Gento bandwagon. They've always had the engineer in their collection. They put in the same movement as the Mark 20.
Yeah.
And then hike the price by a
now
ridiculous amount.
Now they're going to dumb down the Mark 20.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if
that's the rumor.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah.
I just think the Mark 20 is a much better proposition, better bracelet. I've never really gotten into the integrated bracelet hype. I mean, I think they're great. I've had the closest thing I've had to that was an Oyster Quartz from Rolex.
All right, yeah, that's integrated.
It's integrated.
Absolutely,
yeah. It's cool. It's 70s, but for me, it really doesn't do that much for me. I like a more comfortable bracelet over an integrated one.
You sold that watch?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I like the Oyster Quartz. I think now that the Tissot PRX 80 Chromatic 80 comes out and it's very close in looks to the Oyster Quartz from Rolex, I'm really, really tempted to look for an Oyster Quartz.
Yeah, I think if you can get one in good condition, then that's probably the way to do it. The mistake I did with mine is I got it serviced. And when I did, it was polished.
Okay.
And the polishing on the integrated bracelet, yeah. If I could go back, I would definitely not get it polished. And I just couldn't live with it. My OCD would just not let me live with the way it was done.
This was through the dealer or who?
Yeah, through the dealer.
Was it so? What was the issue? I mean, was the brushing bad or the polished parts? What happened?
It's just that the brushing was fine, but just there's a little of what do you call it? Not
chamfering.
Chamfering, exactly. Yeah, that's the one. Just on the side.
Okay.
And if you look at the original one, it matches very well with the chamfering on the bracelet itself.
Okay.
And this one, what they did was they polished the case a little bit more than the bracelet. So it just didn't match up very well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
it's a
sad.
shame. Yeah. I've heard tons of horror stories about servicing with Rolex, and then they just polish it.
And I mean, to be honest, I've had a couple of watches serviced with them, and they seem to be doing fine with the modern watches, modern bracelets and all that kind of stuff. If they ever really did mess up your bracelet, you could always get a new one if you had to.
But not with the integrated.
Yeah, not with the integrated, yeah. So I think vintage, and that's the other thing about vintage watches, you have to be really careful. The example I had didn't have any box or papers. Hence, deciding to get it serviced, so at least I can have some kind of authentication and some kind of paperwork for the watch. Yeah. If you're going to go into vintage, these are some of the things that you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
Some of the things that maybe you need to reconsider if you're going to polish the watch, if you're going to service the watch.
Vintage to a certain extent can be just a bit of a time bomb, right? I mean, it's really a ticking time bomb because you don't know what happens, especially like this is a quartz movement. So quartz movement, these parts, not
but
anymore
it's a highly regulated, I mean, very complicated
it's a
quartz
high,
movement.
it's a thermocompensated, super high accuracy quartz movement. It's amazing. I love it. It's a type 21, I think, the movement type there. How precise was it actually? Did you measure that while you had the watch? Is it?
I did actually. It was pretty accurate. I would say less than 10 seconds a month.
Wow, really cool.
It was really cool.
That is lovely for a watch, especially that's a couple of decades old, right?
Yeah. Now the other thing is when it came back from service, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a bit of a horror story. That's why I actually ended up selling the watch. It was, if you've ever had a quartz Grand Seiko, right? When the second hand takes, because it has the steeper motoring, right?
Yeah.
The second hand hits all the markers dead on every single time, and that's exactly what was happening with the Oyster quartz before service.
Ooh.
No.
And then it came back from service. Apparently, they told me that they changed the movement because the servicing and all that kind of stuff. So they put in a brand new movement, which they said is good for I think 20 years or something. But now the second hand would not hit the markers. It was in the middle of the markers.
Oh no, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
So I took it back in. They had to look at it and said, it's within tolerance.
So how much did this cost you? The privilege?
The privilege of having gone through this was, I think, the region of about 2.5, maybe 3,000 dirhams.
It's not too bad for a service.
Yeah.
Well, it's a brand new movement.
Service. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a the normal.
Yeah, it's a normal price.
It's a normal
for
price
service,
yeah.
and if they deem that the movement has to be changed, and they do this for the
I think
same price, right?
exactly. And for the Oyster quartz, most of them now they would change the movement because that's
if
just
they still have them, right?
Yeah.
And that's the other question. At some point, they're going to run out of these movements.
Because they're not producing
anymore.
this watch since 2000.
2000, about
2001,
early 2000s.
When they stopped, So it's going to be eventually a problem with supply. Yeah, I was just thinking about this because these quartz crystals, they age over time. So they should change going either slower or faster. I don't know what that actually does when they age. Probably going to go slower, I guess. Well, that's just an assumption from my part. We all get a bit slower when they age, right?
But it's amazing. Like with the Grand Seiko, they actually have a way to regulate
that's correct.
The quartz crystal itself from the movement.
Yeah, not the crystal, but the they can regulate how the timing is being
the deviation basically
calculated from there. They have a couple of things they're absolutely right, which is the amazing thing that this you're just dividing the frequency by 2 until you end up with 1 second. And that's why the frequency should be 32,768, because if you divide that 11 times by 2, you end up with 1 per second.
Yep.
That's amazing. And how they find that out. So do you have any quartz watches in your collection then?
I do actually. I have a Breitling Aerospace.
Oh, that's very nice.
I think we just talked about that one as well last time. We both like it. I'm like, it's one of the...
I really like it. I wanted to pick this up as a travel watch recently before.
You know what? It's actually my travel watch.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing watch. I mean, I would recommend it to anyone out there who's looking for...
Which one? The blue dial?
Anything. I've actually got the black dial.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the black dial. So it's the normal Aerospace with the titanium case?
Yep. Titanium case, titanium bracelet.
Not the PVD one, the black
PVD,
one.
yeah.
I think the night, was it called the night mission?
They call that the night mission, yeah.
That's also cool. I like that as well. With the sailcloth strap.
So let's go back to this. You said your favorite brand was Rolex.
Yeah. Yes.
We are getting there.
What model within Rolex is your favorite?
So that's, for me, it's going to be my first Rolex, which is the GMT Master 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you also work in aviation.
I do, yeah.
So that kind of makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm a scuba diver by day. That's why I like the Submariner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
By day or by night?
By both. I don't know.
You're living close to the coast as well.
Yes, I'm definitely not 2 hours inland.
But you're living close to a pool, so
Yes, I do take it swimming. 2 meters. Sometimes I go to the bottom of my ears pop.
so GMT Master 2, which one?
So the first one I ever had was the black dial green hand GMT Master 2. So that's 11, 6, 7, 10, I think. LN, something like that.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. I think it's a
Yeah.
fantastic color combination. At the problem was at first I didn't appreciate it. I thought the green was too much.
Yeah.
It's just
I fell
one
into
hand.
the same trap. I didn't appreciate it enough until I didn't have it anymore.
Yeah, and I had so many opportunities to buy it for discount at Rolex ADs, and I never picked it up, and I regret not buying it 100%. I think like at the time, like $27K was how much it was, and I didn't buy it. But I still maintain it's very.
I recently had a GMT Master black dial, stick dial. That's the one that has the GMT Master 2, just without
exactly,
the serifs, right?
Yep.
A person who bought it from Siddiqui wore it maybe 10 times, wasn't a fan. It was lying around for 10 years, and he was selling it for 36.
Oh my!
And that was last year, 1.5 years ago. And I said, no. Yeah, I regret that, not buying this one.
So this was the pre-ceramic.
Yeah.
So then it had red hand.
Was that the pre-ceramic or no, the ceramic, right? With the green writing.
Green.
No, it was. I don't think it was ceramic already. Was
Green.
It?
So if it was pre-ceramic, it had a red GMT hand. If it was ceramic, it had a green GMT hand. If it was 10 years old, you say, then that puts us at what, 2013, which would be ceramic.
Yeah,
because 2009 or 2008 was the first GMT black ceramic.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I looked this up while you talk, but I think it was.
So all right, that's your number one. So my issue is always that, and I don't know, maybe you can answer this. Can a Submariner, a black Submariner, and a black GMT Master live in the same collection?
I think they can. I actually had a black Submariner. And
you have the no date, don't you?
I have the no date. I still have that. Yeah. So I think they can. They can live in the same collection. So initially, what happened was I got the GMT Master 2 first, and this was back in 2019, when you could still walk into a boutique, have a look. Actually, it's an interesting story because I went in. I wasn't looking for a GMT Master 2. I was actually interested in the Explorer. And he had the Explorer 1, Explorer 2, white dial, black dial, and the GMT Master 2. So I had to look at the Explorer. I wasn't really convinced because I was like, oh, you know what? I prefer something with a date. The one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one I initially wanted. And yeah, so very nice sales assistant. Brought all the other ones out. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And then, GMT Master 2 spoke to me the most. So like, yeah, you know what, this actually probably is the one I should get, dual time zone and all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, oh, thank you very much. I'll have a think about it and come back, And I was like, you know what, let me go and have a look at Omega and see what they have. Came back 2 days later, the watches were still available.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that's quite awesome.
Yeah. And that's when I got the GMT Master 2. They didn't have a Submariner at the time. I did ask about it, and they're like, oh, if you're really interested in one, of course, it's after the first purchase. They're like, oh, we can put your name down on the list. This is the first time I'm hearing about a list.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. And they're like, yeah, probably 3 months, 6 months. Got a call in 6 weeks. And actually, I didn't buy it at that time. Like, I'm still enjoying this one, so
I don't need it.
Yeah, I don't need it. Exactly. I still hadn't got the disease that.
No, but my issue once again is because ultimately it's now above 40K each, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So do you want to have those two sitting next to each other when you could have spent 40K and gotten something else? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, you asked, can they live in the same collection together? And I'd say, yes, they can. Do you want that to happen?
Exactly. This is my issue.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Because they're very, very similar. I mean, from
the case, the bezel, the dial.
Exactly. Sit across the room from somebody else. If you're not a watch enthusiast, you wouldn't really be able to tell. My wife can't tell the difference between my watches. Like if I showed her my collection, she'd be like, they all look the same.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is wrong with you? They're all different. you know.
Exactly. And
So,
you know,
yeah, I get what you mean.
so
but that's
did we find out what your watch was?
yes, I did here. This is it is
Pre-ceramic.
pre-ceramic
pre-ceramic.
red
So
red
I
green.
have to say the pre-ceramic black bezel GMT.
Look at it.
I love it.
Brand
Yep.
new.
But the thing about the pre-ceramic, and I think I was discussing this with with Ralph. Maybe I called you. A friend of mine wanted to do a trade for my Datejust, and one of the watches we were discussing was a Coke, and it was a very, very high. There was no box and papers, but it was a very good condition, very sharp case Coke, and the beauty of it is you can literally go online. I think for under 1,000 dirhams, you can buy a used, authentic Pepsi bezel.
Mhm.
For even less, you can buy the black bezel, and you can change them at home yourself.
Wow, that's amazing.
And because the GMT hand is red on all of them,
Mhm.
no,
It
way.
works with all of them.
It
yeah.
works with all of them,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
which is super cool.
I think this is the thing that I feel it sucked a bit of fun out of the Rolex collecting a bit, right? Because changing the dial, changing the bezels, that was a thing that was commonly done, even by Rolex dealers. We have people in our watch groups that actually have changed their dials from their Daytonas.
Yep.
Right? No problem. After some kind of ownership, a couple of years, 1 or 2 or 3, depending on how much it is, you can buy a different color dial and just have Rolex swap it out. I don't know if they're still doing it, but it used to be quite nice. It's like a new watch, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if they're doing it now. I mean, I asked for a bracelet for one of my watches from them. This is change it from a Jubilee to the Oyster bracelet,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh yeah, you have to bring it in," and they were quite. It was quite. I didn't get a clear answer whether or not they would be able to sell me the bracelet, which I think is actually a very
weird. Yeah.
simple request, I believe.
I know
Yeah.
they want to limit the amount of spare parts or authentic parts that are being floating around in the secondary market, but why? I mean, yes, there could be people building these Franken watches
Frankenstein.
together,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, this is a fact
So
of life. It
I have the
happens.
same thing. Remember, my wife has an OP with an engine turn bezel. I wanted the smooth bezel. The watch originally came with both, depending on what the reference number, 10 ending in 10 was the engine turned, 00 was the smooth. So I went to Rolex as well, asked them the same question. Can you get me this bezel? No, not possible. We can only do it we cannot do it because the number changes.
The reference number changes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, fine. So I went online, eBay, £60 later, ordered from the UK, shop and ship, arrives, absolutely bang on perfect. I took it to Timepiece 360. They threw it on.
You should have taken it to Rolex. Can
I
you
did.
change this for me?
I did. I took it to Rolex first because we have a service center in Elaine.
Right.
And I know the guy, and I go in there quite frequently, to just do something random. He serviced the watch prior, regulated it, and I took him. I said, "Is there any chance you could throw this bezel on?" And he said, "No, because the reference number. If it was the same reference number, he said I would do it for you, but because it changes, I can't do it."
Yeah. So Rolex refuses to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you can do it with
But now going back to
anybody else,
the idea
but
of
yeah.
bracelets, remember even the bracelet codes are
different.
built in.
Yep.
Because if we have 2 reference numbers on a Rolex tag, you have the big one, which is the, for my, the only watch that I have the two bracelets would be the Datejust, right? So it's 116234. And then after it has dash
And then a couple of other numbers for the
0001 or some nonsense. I don't know what the number is, but one is for Oyster, one is for Jubilee.
Yep.
And then if I go in and I say, I want the Jubilee, I want the Oyster because I have the Jubilee, they're going to say no. However, if I take the watch in with just the head and say I lost my bracelet, they would still have to sell me another Jubilee bracelet, but it has to be identical to the one that you quote unquote misplaced. So that's what it comes down to.
That happens a lot to me, that I wake up with a
Oh,
watch
where
on
is
my
my-
wrist that doesn't have a bracelet anymore.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm like, oh my God, I lost it. That sounds like a really, really common thing. No, I think I have a bit of a problem with that as well, because they change, like the Sky Dweller. I have a Sky Dweller with a Jubilee bracelet, and they have actually changed the way it attaches to the case, so that if
You can't fit the Oyster.
I want to have
Yeah.
a rubber strap on it because mine
Right.
is two-tone, and the two-tone with a Jubilee can be, as I said, my wife calls it the disco watch because it
is bling,
sparkles,
bling,
it
yeah.
sparkles a lot.
Dances
So
in the light, huh?
I wanted to just tone it down a bit with a black rubber strap. But none of these companies, Everest, Horus, Rubber Bee, none of them makes a watch, a rubber band that actually fits to the Jubilee bracelet Skydweller. The Oyster bracelet, yes, not the Jubilee one. And that is so annoying.
Yeah.
And I think, it comes maybe in the future, but we don't know.
The same thing goes for the Daytona, right? Did you guys know about this? That the Daytonas
yes,
that have
the Oyster Flex is
built-in end links.
Yep.
So you cannot remove it. What the hell were they
Why
thinking?
are they doing
Exactly.
this?
Why?
Explorer 36 as well, the new one. They put a little. If you look at
Yeah, I have the
lugs.
36 as is,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the purpose of this
The
is.
new one is. I mean, but you can't really fit
Anything else in it.
Anything else
has
other
a
than the
small-
proprietary.
You can. I've done it. You
Yep.
can take it off because it's a hole essentially. It looks like crap. So if you put a strap on it, you see this hole.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can still fit it, but it's not going to look good. But what is the purpose for them to make that hole in there? So basically, it's like a 1 centimeter hole that just juts inwards into the case.
I mean, there is a bit of stability maybe when you have the things in. There's a, but
because the bracelet has no extruding
Oh, it
male.
doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
So
Yeah.
there's no male element.
I thought it would be.
So you can imagine like it's the same male or female, right? So the
No, I think
case
you have
has
to
a
explain
female.
that to me.
So
Start with the
men-
bees. All right.
But anyway, yes. So there's a female bit on the where the bracelet would go
Right.
in the lugs, and then the bracelet is a regular bracelet. So I have no idea what the purpose of this was. And of course, Rolex being Rolex, they won't tell anyone.
I know.
I think it was part of the research and development into not putting in other bracelets and like, let's just put a little bit of a hole here.
Let's make it ugly.
Yeah, let's make it
Well,
ugly.
'cause
No, for people
Well,
who put it on a strap.
On the other, like the Datejust and the Sub, it's so close. The spring bars are so close to the case, and they make the case especially sharp, so that any strap you put on it, it just eats it and chews it up when the strap is moving. So that's already a good deterrent.
But you know what? And in the old GMT Masters, it's so nice if you put this on a nice leather strap. They can look wonderful. Like
And they
leather
gave you
strap.
drilled lugs to do
Exactly.
it.
yeah, exactly. For easier changes.
NATO's as well.
Yeah.
Looks amazing on a
It looks
NATO.
so cool.
Yeah.
So that's a case for older GMT Master 2s, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What else is in your collection?
So we talked about the GMT Master 2. We've talked about this IWC.
So you still have the GMT.
I still have not the first one that I got.
You sold it and bought another one.
Yeah,
Okay.
when the what do you call this? The Batgirl came out, the 12, 6, 7, 10. I was itching for that, so I was like, they discontinued the green one. The price went up. I could sell it and have enough money to buy the Batgirl, so that's what I did. And then I regretted that sale almost immediately. And that's, I mean, this could be a topic on its own.
Yeah.
Do not sell your first ever Rolex.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
We discussed this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ralph
Also,
has
don't
this.
sell your second one.
Yeah.
I sold my first Rolex and I didn't regret it.
Oh, you didn't?
No, because
No,
I
I
bought the wrong one.
Ah, okay. So I bought the right one. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
when you get the good woman, don't let her go.
I'm
So
sorry.
I sold that one, bought the Batgirl, was all right. But this was pre-owned.
Yeah.
I mean, well, not pre-owned, but from secondary market.
Yeah.
And then I sold that as well. And after that, I rebought the black GMT Master 2 3 times, trying to get the first one again. I mean, that first feeling. So it was essentially the same.
So wait,
Watch?
wait.
Yeah.
So you bought the first GMT Master Black,
Yeah.
and why didn't that work?
No, not that it didn't work. It did work.
Ah, okay.
Sold it because I wanted to get something else. Which
It was not. I thought
Yeah.
you were still hunting for that
no.
specific
I wasn't hunting for
like,
that specific one.
condition or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, after I bought the Batgirl, I sold that, and then I started hunting for the black GMT Master 2 again, which I had originally the first
Who
one.
did you sell it to? Was it a friend? Was it a shop?
No, I sold it to a dealer.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's no way of
No, there-
tracing it back.
There was no way of tracing it back.
Yeah.
So others came in, good deals, bad deals, whatever it was. Long story short, 2 or 3 black GMT Master 2s later, I couldn't get that first Rolex feeling again. So I moved on. I was on the wait list, of course, for the Bad Girl from the AD. And eventually, I think 2.5 years later, they called me for one, which I ended up buying, and I still have until today.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't sell that one again.
But I think this advice is good. I mean, for me personally, I regret selling my first Rolex, because it usually when you start as a watch enthusiast, I don't know if you always aspire to have a Rolex.
Not really, actually.
See?
Exactly.
But then you eventually get the maturity and actually see for Rolex for what it is, and you remove the negative annotations to it, right?
Yeah, and it's something somebody said to me once, and I didn't really understand it until later, because I was always like, no, Rolex is not for me. It's too blingy, too expensive. It's a show off. It's a show off kind of watch.
Said this too. Anybody who knows anything is going to buy the Omega.
Yeah, exactly. And that was me. It was like, no, value for money kind of thing. But then once you get your first Rolex, then you start realizing, actually,
they know what they're doing.
Yeah, there's something here. And then, so what he said was, there's two kinds of people. So the people who don't understand Rolex, and then the people who respect Rolex after they understand it.
Yes.
So, and I think, you definitely have to own one. And then you realize,
I think there's a third phase.
I think for me, one of the things was I actually had a Rolex offered to me 2009, and it was a Submariner. It was an old one, pre-ceramic, on this rattly bracelet, stamped clasp. It didn't do anything for me. The Submariner, no date. It was about 11,000 dirhams. And I looked at it and thought, nah, this is not high quality. I bought a Breitling instead.
Right.
Which I considered to be
better quality.
Better quality. I don't know why. But somehow I thought no, this like feels better. It feels more solid.
Does, but it does.
The Super Ocean.
And I remember the same thing. I felt the same thing. I had a Tag Heuer Aqua Racer that I felt was better quality than a pre-ceramic Rolex.
Yeah. But I think when you have a new Rolex, everything with the ceramic on the new solid bracelets and all of this stuff, if you put that on your wrist the first time, that was when it happened to me. That was it. Suddenly I thought, ooh, from absolutely not for me, Rolex, not my thing, to, ooh, that could be me, right?
Yeah,
with this
exactly.
watch on my wrist. And I'm like, that feels so nice. What happened, right? I don't know what it was.
And especially after you've experienced a lot of other brands, a lot of other watches prior to Rolex, your first experience with Rolex would be quite interesting. I went from, my first luxury watch was an Omega Quartz, the Bond Seamaster. Prior to that was, a bunch of Seikos, a bunch of other stuff. But I would say that was my first luxury watch. And then after that, of course, a few Breitlings, a few Omegas later, and then Rolex. And man, you put on that watch and that plus or minus 2 accuracy that they promise and they deliver on.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God, this is, because I've got a little bit of OCD, so it's kind of like, okay, it said plus or minus 2 on the box. It is giving me plus or minus 2, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Not like the other. I mean, the Omega was COSC or whatever before. I think they were COC before they went Metas. And it's brand new, but it's still running like 15 seconds late or 10 seconds, and you take it into the service center and they're looking at you like you're a crazy person, No,
I'm totally with you.
It's still ticking.
No, I took my wife's
I have a time grapher at home.
OP. My wife's OP was running 15 seconds a day fast.
Yep.
And I took it in, they regulated it, now it's 0.
Yeah.
So I mean, the guy at Rolex, he did not question anything. He said, "Sure, it was outside of warranty as well,
right,
by 1 year, and he still did it for free."
Because that I think this is one of the things. I mean, I know there's lots of horror stories about Rolex service, but this is one of the promises, right?
Exactly.
It's like this is plus or minus 2 seconds while wearing the watch normally, right?
Yeah.
That's it. And they usually over deliver, right? You rarely have on the outer edge the plus 2 or minus 2. But and Tudor, by the way, is also offering minus 2 plus 4. So that's actually not too bad. This is 2 seconds off from the Rolex promise.
Yep.
And so far, my experience was also very, very precise.
And what does GLC offer?
I don't know.
I don't think they offer anything at all.
40% increase.
Exactly.
It's like it's
So
a
they
watch.
say
What do
that
you want?
They say 1,000-hour control, master control, right? Or 1,000-hour control, but they don't actually say what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's most Richmond brands, because I think IWC is the same. They don't give you any guarantee about the accuracy that they provide. But
Cartier, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So maybe it's a Richemont thing that they don't tell you anything.
I don't know. Maybe they don't. Yeah, they don't guarantee anything. But maybe they figured out that this is not a discerning factors for their audience because.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
okay, let's do this.
See, my wife has a perpetual calendar. Recently, she put it on, and I said, "Well, I just put on the time, not the rest of it, right?" And she's like, "Well, I can't read it in any case. It's too small.
Yeah.
It's like a 35 millimeter solid gold, right, white dial." So she said, "Like these tiny dials, I can't even read it with my glasses on." So, and she said,
"Yeah,
well, even if the watch
who cares?
Not running, not the biggest problem, right?" Though she did complain once when I set the watch 5 minutes off, and she said, "I was late to all of my meetings. That's your fault."
Yes.
Like, okay, so you do look at the watch.
Only when it's beneficial for her, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I was, as I was saying, I think none of the Richemont groups do. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure some of them do, but from what we've mentioned today, IWC, Cartier, GLC, there's no chronometer specification either.
Yeah, I mean, Patek, for example, has their own standard.
Yeah, Patek have their own.
Yeah, but Patek is outside of the group.
Funny enough, Patek is actually something which is lower than the COSC standard.
What about VC?
And it's I think getting a bit more like to the slow part.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually it's like a bias to the fast part. It's like +6 seconds or -4, basically the chronometer standard. But with Patek, it's the other way around. I think it's -6 to +2 or something. And you think, why would you do that? Because nobody wants a slow watch, right? I mean,
exactly.
I can live with a 10-second fast watch, but I cannot live with a watch even if it's 1 second slow. I don't like slow.
Yeah.
Slow is bad. I don't know why. For me, it's bad. Vacheron doesn't offer a specific standard.
So
they
once
have
again,
their
everyone
own
in
seal.
Richemont.
They have their Geneva seal, and that has a standard.
Yeah.
The Geneva seal. And then, I mean, I have the only watch that is not a Geneva seal from Vacheron Constantin. So there goes that story. But for this particular watch, no. But I think for other watches, there is the Geneva seal that has a specific standard as well. I think it's also the same as a chronometer standard, maybe a bit tighter even.
But and that brings me back to what we were talking about Rolex, right? You have, when you own them, then you start to understand why they're such a powerhouse in the watch industry. Because imagine pumping out 1 million watches a year, and they're all running ±2 seconds a day.
Yeah,
and we guarantee that. That's something amazing in its own right.
But it's also the fact that they're so simply designed.
Exactly.
There's nothing over the top. It's a very simple design. Some would say boring designs even, right?
I mean,
I don't think it's necessarily simple for that, because sometimes it's to make something or to simplify things, it's hard.
Exactly. So, but it needs to look simple without being simple, right? It's kind of what we're saying.
And also, I'm also saying that when watchmakers saying, well, a Rolex watch is so easy to service. I love servicing Rolex watches because they put so much thought into the servicing, because they know they have to service hundreds of thousands of them every year.
Yeah. But they're also going to be for how long as well, right?
Yeah.
Because no one's buying this for 2 seconds or in their life, right?
Right.
They're going to buy it for 30 years, which means they're going to service it.
And the thing is, I mean, they more or less the modern ones, even some of the vintage ones, they have such a longevity built into them. Where you're looking at, there's stories of Rolex watches that are 30, 40 years old that have never been serviced, and they're still ticking, still keeping time. That's amazing in its own right. Right now, I think with the modern ones, they say, I think the service interval is 10 years or something like that.
10,
they say about 10,
which is pretty good.
And I have one
nice.
that's 12 years old, according to the date of sale, but according to the manufacturing, the serial number, it's 2009, which would put it at 14 years. And I took it in, and the guy said, "Do not service this." He said it's still absolutely flawless. There's no need to service it yet.
Yeah, because also during the normal service, what they do is they replace parts that have been worn off. They disassemble the movement, clean everything, put it back together, oil everything, replace everything that needs replacing, and you get it back. You might get new hands, all of this stuff.
Yep.
You have to tell them if you don't want that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
But I think with modern watches, we don't actually
But
care.
imagine going in, I was prepared to pay the 3,000 dirhams for a service, and the guy said, no, don't do it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think what my experience with Rolex service was my wife's, they just had an issue with the rotor. I thought, no problem, because the watch is less than 5 years old and it has 5 years warranty at the time. Then I realized that this watch was actually purchased just 3 months before they increased the warranty to 5 years. So actually the warranty on that watch was only 3 years or something, 3.5 or something weird. Anyhow, so basically turned out the watch has no warranty anymore. And I said, well, it doesn't charge anymore, right? There's something is wrong with the rotor. Can you then still check? And I said, of course, no problem. Leave that with us. All right. So 2 weeks later, got the watch back. No charge.
Yeah.
No nothing. It was repaired.
Very good.
And
Yeah.
it was just like, here, enjoy your Rolex. And I was like, wow, that's nice.
That's
Thank you.
really cool.
Right? Yeah. So it can be nice experience as well after your horror story.
No, of course. I mean, like I said,
that
that was just one particular one.
Yeah.
And it was a bit disappointing for me, but I have had positive, in fact, 3 or 4 positive experiences with the service center. So that has been pretty good. I know there's one what you want to talk about.
Yes,
Ralph.
let's
So
go. Let's skip from Rolex straight to Omega. And let's talk about this was a watch that you and I talked about before you bought it.
Exactly.
And you were looking for at the time a Speedmaster.
I was looking for a Speedmaster because I've had like 4 or 5, but you want the one.
You were looking for a regular Speedmaster.
Yeah, I was looking for a regular one. Yep.
And what did we find for a similar price?
So we found this is a 50th anniversary limited edition. This is the 1957 limited edition Speedmaster.
And why is this so special?
Yeah, well, because it's limited to 1957 pieces. I think the one I got was 1932 on the number, and it's the one with the enamel dial.
Yeah, and that's what I was going for. It's
Exactly.
enamel.
Yeah, enamel.
So for those of you that don't know, enamel dialing is extremely difficult to do. I think there's a 10% success rate or something like this.
Yeah,
Exactly.
something like that.
So out of 100, 90 will break, and only 10 will actually make it to production. So they're super hard to make, super rare, and the fact that they put this in a Speedmaster. And then we have to mention this Speedmaster, for those of you that don't know and get lost in Omega's thousands of limited editions. This one, I liked it because it was so simple. It looked, if you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, you're not going to know what it is.
The only telltale sign was that it had the blah, blah, blah out of 1957 written on the dial.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it looks like a regular Speed.
Exactly. And that's what I love about it, because it's so understated. And I think Omega lost their way somehow when they were doing the limited editions, because they made them so over the top. Some of the James Bonds were...
They were a bit tacky, a bit gimmicky, right?
Oh,
Exactly.
God. Do you remember Skyfall? Aquaterra with it was like blue and yellow. And I mean, they did have some ugly stuff.
Yeah, but they seem to be getting their way again, because they're making the new limited editions.
2 James Bonds. Oh my
pretty
God,
good.
they're so awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan.
But one of the amazing things about this Speedmaster that I got
that you almost didn't get, you should say.
Exactly, I almost didn't get was the box. I think the box for this watch is something else. Yeah, you need to look it up, Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
That's a picture of the box. I mean, you just have to, the equipment it comes with, it's like a complete set, where the tools are actually numbered.
All right, yes,
for the limited edition. The box alone weighed about, I don't know, 8 kilograms.
And if I'm not mistaken, they sent it from like Singapore or something.
Yeah, exactly.
They DHL'd it from Singapore for you.
Nice.
The box, because they had the watch but not the box.
All right.
And
see, these are. I mean, I know it's weird, but from my experience with watches and their boxes, I only unpack the watch one time.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Blancpain has this Pelican case. This plastic case with a extra, because it's a diver's watch. It's really nice. Zenith has a big watch box, and then Vacheron Constantin has a very nice wooden box, but the Omega box, for its price, is really punching way above it.
And this is this one
weight.
is a special box. This is like a mahogany.
Yeah, it
or
was
something.
mahogany wood. Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
it was huge,
Yeah,
and it
that's-
comes with
that's even
literally
special,
like
but
I'm looking at it
I'm-
6, 7, 8, 9, 10
I mean,
tools.
even the normal, the normal one is,
and the
is all-
bracelet as well.
the normal Seamasters or so come in this nice wooden box, which you think is way better. I mean,
Yes,
if you compare
yes.
this to a Rolex plastic box, you think,
What's
wait
going
a
on?
second, right? Especially if you're going for the higher end watches where you have the big case, right? The Rolex big case, which is just
A bigger
plastic
version of the
box,
small
right?
Yeah.
plastic box.
You think, okay, well, yes, there's the 1 million pieces. And there's the thing that you actually don't really unbox it more than once. Usually, you're not storing the watch in the watch box, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in this shipping
Yeah.
box, you just put it away. But it has something really, really special when you, the first time you open that box and you think, ooh, that
Yeah.
feels all so luxurious.
No, I have to say I keep straps for the watches in there. So if I have a strap specifically for one watch, for instance, your Speedy has the bracelet and the leather strap.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine has the bracelet, the NATO, God knows what, and I keep it on a NATO. So sometimes I do want to put the bracelet back on, and then I get my flights case out, right? Because I have the big case, regular Speedy, and it is an event. Just unlatching the 2 latches on it, it is so cool.
Mm.
And I might do it once every 2 months. But when I do, and this has been for 7 years now, I've been unboxing this thing, just opening the box to get the bracelet out. And it is, I smile every time. It's such a cool box.
Yeah. And especially if you're doing a limited edition run, I think the packaging is part of it.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
Definitely,
yeah.
100%. I was quite disappointed with Breitling of late because I was looking at getting the Navi timer, the 747,
Right.
which I think they released 747 of them or something of that sort. But yeah, they were giving it to you in the regular biodegradable, recycled box.
I don't know about you guys, but if you have if you have biodegradable plastic bags and you put them in storage and then you pick up a plastic bag that actually disintegrates when you pick it up and you think, oh, yeah, I'm not so sure if the Breitling box will disintegrate like that.
No, I
after
don't know.
some time.
I hope
knows?
not. But I mean, if it's it's it kind of kills it for a little bit. Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. All right. The last question. Ralph, you want to ask a last question for Hussein? Or should
Yeah,
I?
what else is in your watch collection? So we have gone through quite a bit, but what is the let's say a bit of the off the beaten path? What is the watch that nobody understands why you have it? For example, where everybody's just like, but why?
Are you looking up a picture?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I have to think about that for a little bit.
That's
a difficult one. Yeah.
No. My wife says the same thing about my Reverso. She says, this is a watch for someone who is 15 years older than I am right now. She said, if you keep it for that long, then at that point in time, it's going to be perfect for your age.
I think I'm 15 years older than
You are. She says the Cartier Santos and the Reverso
So she says
are
it's for old people like Ralph.
no, not. She calls it an old man watch. She does, but
Yeah,
my
my
old
wife
man
says the same to me for the reverse. So says this is an old man's watch.
But why is it an old man's watch?
I don't
How is
know.
it like?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
It's a good question.
But that's the thing about the Reverso. It just looks old.
I don't see it. I love it, but it is. I mean, Art Deco, 1920s,
It is a
Prohibition era,
yeah, it is-
flapper girl style.
It is a old style design. This Art Deco design exudes a bit of
It does.
old.
It does. But for
With
some
an
reason,
oldness,
I
but it
think
doesn't-
it's cool. I don't know.
yeah. I don't think it's not. Yeah.
All right.
So
What was
No.
your answer?
My well, at the moment, I don't have anything that is off the beaten track. So I'd say it's my collection right now is quite mainstream. So it's
How many watches do you have?
8.
Okay, yeah, me
Yeah.
too, me too, exactly.
So it's
Is it? We have this theory that everybody limits their collection size by the size of their watch box.
that is very true, actually.
So if you have a 24 watch box, you get 24 watches.
Yeah.
And I have 8, so I have 8.
Exactly, and then get new boxes after that.
Or you just continue
or
selling.
have
And what I've
different
done,
tiers. You know? It's like, okay, this is my first tier. 8. This is like my main box.
Yeah.
Then I have secondary boxes, like for my G-Shocks.
Yes.
And these kind of things.
No,
How many do you have? You have quite a
I
bit.
have a
with the-
24.
no, altogether, including the G-Shocks.
I didn't count. No, I mean, I have 9 G-Shocks, right, in the box.
Is it only 9? I thought it was more.
It's 9 G-Shocks. I have 2 more round ones that are not fitting in the box because that's only the G-Shock, the GMW B5000 and its iterations and different materials and colors. But yeah, no, that's it basically. I have sold,
24
I
in your
have
main
sold a
collection.
lot, but my main box is 24.
Yeah.
24, yeah. And
actually,
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to limit it. I want to get down from that. So, and in any case, I have the 1 in, 1 out.
policy. Yep.
I'm now trying to do the 1 in, 2 out policy a bit, just to move the collection a bit upwards, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is what ended up
collection.
happening. I had a box of 8, which was full of Hamiltons and stuff like this. And eventually you sell a Hamilton, you put some money towards something else, and you get something nicer out of it, right?
So what is your you don't have to list them all, but what is the brand that you have the most watches of? Is that Rolex?
At the moment, yeah, it's Rolex.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you have?
I got
besides
something.
the GMT and the
Other than GMT,
Sub.
I've got the GMT Master 2 Batgirl. I've got the Sub Note 8. I've got
40 mm or 41.
40 mm.
Okay.
40 mm.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah. And then I've got the Explorer 2, the new one, white dial, and the Sea Dweller.
Nice.
So over 50% of your
more than
box is
50%.
Rolex. That's
And
cool.
and I just got a Datejust. So yeah, that's 5 on the Rolex and 3 of the other ones.
Okay. So the other one we have now that we're here, we got the IWC, obviously.
yeah.
And
then we've got the Omega
Speedmaster.
Speedmaster.
So we're missing one.
And what is the other one? Tudor Black Bay 58.
Okay.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Which one? The black dial?
Black, the
The
original.
No, the blue dial.
Blue
What?
dial.
What?
Blue
So
dial.
okay,
Yeah.
you had the black.
I had the black, sold that, got the blue one.
So for the listeners here, the reason I know Hussein is I sold the bracelet off of my Black Bay 58. He messages me and says, I had the blue one, he had the black one. I said, are the bracelets the same color? Because we saw these videos where people were saying they're different colors. But I looked up the part numbers and they were all the same part number.
Yeah.
There's no difference. So he bought my blues bracelet. And then a couple months, or I don't know how much, and I asked you, I'm like, do you still have that, by the way? He's like, no, I sold it.
Yeah.
And then he bought an Omega strap for me afterwards. So
Exactly. Yeah. Just to answer your previous question, you asked something that's off the beaten
Yeah.
track. Yeah. This is actually quite interesting. I've got this Casio. I don't wear it that often.
Yes. So
I don't know what the reference number
I
of it
think
is.
it's they just
a
made a
one-timer.
new they just made a new version of this.
Yeah.
Show me.
Um,
Oh yeah, this is like that reminds me of the Citizen Anna Digi
Yeah.
with a thermometer on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you're not counting Casios in
cool.
your watch collection?
This one's
No, they're not.
No, I'm not counting this
Casios-
one because-
Casios don't count.
I also don't count
Yeah,
Casios.
No.
this one costs just as much as a premium coffee. I think it's like 100 dirhams or 200 dirhams or something. But it's amazing. 10-year battery life, and it's got 24 hours, 24 time zones. So it's like well, pretty good.
It's a world timer.
Yeah, world time exactly. It's got
And
everything.
It's a chronograph. It's a perpetual calendar.
Dual
It's
time.
everything.
Yeah, it's got dual time function. It's got
It's an alarm.
perpetual date.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
amazing.
alarm. Why not? You know.
Yeah, technically it's amazing.
All right, last question. I'm going to ask one more because it has to be asked.
All right.
What is your exit watch? What is your ultimate goal, dream watch?
We should discuss if exit watches actually. I mean, I had so many exit
Yeah,
watches. in my
and
life.
you never
So,
exit,
like,
but
this
still,
will be my
right
last
now,
one when I get
in
this
this-
watch. This
in
is
this-
it.
Moment in time, what is your exit watch?
If I could get one watch, and I think that would be it, would be the Patek Philippe 5236P.
Which is what? Because I don't know my Patek references besides 5211 or whatever, 5711.
That's that one there. Perpetual calendar, blue dial.
Oh my goodness. The one where
Yeah,
they put
the
all
one
the
with the
letters
line, yeah.
together. Oh, I love that one. Yes.
with
I
the
thought that
date
was
in the
so
line.
simple.
I know, man. It's
Saturday,
yeah.
18 March.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
why did no one think of this before?
This monobrow. That's
Yeah.
a monobrow.
yeah. It does look like a monobrow.
it's perfect size. It's
yeah.
in platinum. So this would be this
In
would be it.
platinum.
No, I can
naturally.
see that. I can see that.
Since we're here,
that's a
Ralph,
nice
what is
one.
your exit watch right now?
Actually, I think it's also a Patek. But I'm not so sure if it's like the exit watch. But I think it's the watch when I get one of these, then
You're
there's
done.
no point anymore. And I think it's the new 6007 that just came out relatively recently.
Okay. The Calatrava?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a Calatrava 6007G, something like that. It's with a blue dial and I think a yellow or golden indices there on it. It just looks super cool. A bit of a sector dial-ish
Nice.
version.
Yeah.
Very simple, nothing special on it, but I really, really like the look of it. I think it's super elegant.
Yeah.
What about yours?
Yeah. Mine would be a gold president.
Okay.
Gold, whether it's yellow, I have been always, in my mind deciding this. Should I go yellow gold with a champagne dial or should I go white gold with a silver dial? But both very plain, no diamonds, no nothing, just very plain 36 millimeter date. Or date, sorry, yeah. But yeah, I think yellow gold would be a cool exit watch. But
yeah. Well, now here's the twist to all of this. If you could get your exit watch, but it's going to be your only watch, would that still work?
No, I'm not going to wear a yellow gold day date every single day.
And that's why this concept, I always ask myself that if I could get this watch today, can this be my only watch? Never again.
But
we're done.
By that logic,
yeah.
all of us right now could get our exit watches. All we would have to do is sell all of our other watches.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we wouldn't do that.
It's not unreachable, technically.
It's not practical.
But then you
either.
have to scale down. What is practical? I mean, that's another topic, but we could talk about how practical is it actually. Can we really wear these watches elsewhere? We can wear them here because
true.
we are in our little
Yeah.
super security bubble because everything is fine here. We can reserve our Starbucks seat with our Patek if we wanted to.
Yes, true.
And it would still be there when we come back from the restaurant. But
so I have to mention something. One immediately on this line. One thing that I never thought of. I was watching this the YouTube channel. What's her name? Watch Gringa.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she just for those of you that don't know, check her out. She's a very cool watch YouTuber. So she had a bicycle accident, and she was wearing her Oyster Perpetual. And the one thing I never thought, because people told me, don't ride your bike in your Rolex. And I always rode my bike in my Submariner. I'm like, once again, sport watch, sports. I never thought of why you shouldn't. And she said, when I went to the hospital, all of my belongings were put in a tray. And, basically they had to cut everything off, clothes, everything, right?
Yep.
And the watch they were able to luckily remove. Otherwise they would have probably cut off the bracelet, right? But then you're moved room to room to room to room, and your belongings are somewhere else. And this is in the UK.
Yep.
I mean, that Rolex is
it's probably gone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
So, but even here, I would still,
that would be anywhere in the world, because
so was the watch stolen? No,
it wasn't.
Yeah.
She said, but the one thing I never thought of is everyone said ride your bike in a G-Shock, because if this happened and a G-Shock was lost, and she said she was extremely loopy, also full of drugs when she left the hospital. She said, I could have just very easily forgotten it.
Yeah.
So this is the thing is we never think about these kinds of
situations.
situations.
Food for thought, yeah.
But that never crossed my mind. So there you go. Another way
Very
of getting your watch not stolen, but you forgotten, stolen, whatever you want to call it. But here, I don't think it's as big of an issue, but I don't know. Food for thought.
On this incredible thought bombshell,
Yes.
we have
must
to end this episode.
Yes, I think we're going over time. All right.
All right, we will
once again,
have Hussein
thank you,
again.
Hussein. You want to leave
another
your
episode.
Instagram handle if you want people to follow you, or
Yeah, I'm actually not on Instagram. Funny enough.
even better, even better.
On
Don't
Threads.
follow people. Don't follow Hussein. Follow us at Lume
Are
Plotters.
you on Threads or on X? No? Okay.
I thought you had one.
No,
Did you?
not really. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in
Don't
that case,
follow Hussein.
Don't follow Hussein.
If you
Follow us
wanna-
instead.
If you want to hear Hussein again, you will have to tune back into the Lume Plotters.
Yes.
He will be a frequent visitor.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much for having me. All right.
Thanks for spending time with us.
All right. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.